Today I'm going to show you how to make this little ring. Now this component that we will make the ring with is a component that I've worked on through the week and had on my Facebook page. This is the one that everyone voted that they liked the best. I made it in a couple of different colors. I put the first components I made into a bracelet, which I will be showing how to make at probably my next video. This video I just want everyone to get familiar with the component because I also have a necklace that's somewhat similar to the same stitch. So I will do that one after I do the bracelet. But today we're going to do this little ring to learn the component. And this ring is pretty good size. It's pretty bold. This is what it looks like on the hand. Now my hands are large, so it works really well on my ring finger. Now if you have smaller hands, you may want to make it for your pointer finger or maybe this finger. It does not bother my other fingers. It's thin on the back, so it doesn't really bother my hand at all. But like I said, my hands are large, so you may want to consider doing it for another finger. And that's what we're going to do. So let's look at the beads here. What you're going to need today to make this project is you will need one 12mm bead. Round bead. I'm using a black pearl today, glass. And then you will need about 60 3mm round pearls, glass pearls, or anything 3mm round that you'd like to use. And you may need less if your ring is smaller than mine. Like I said, my hand's a pretty good size, so the back portion here I had to use quite a few pearls. You may need less. Then you'll need 8/0, 11/0, and 15/0 seed beads. All of these are Toho galvanized silver seed beads. Then you'll need about 12 4mm Bicone crystals. Today I will be using a opaque turquoise Swarovski crystal. On this one I used a clear Swarovski, but I want you to be able to see how I'm doing this today, so I'm going to go ahead and use an opaque crystal so that you can see it better. Now let's go ahead and get thread about 3 arms lengths of 8-pound or 6-pound Fireline onto your beading needle. I'm using a size 10 English beading needle, and I'm using 8-pound Fireline. Once you have threaded your needle, then you will pick up 4 8/0 seed beads onto your needle. And, oops, excuse me, we will bring the seed beads down to the end of our thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, just enough to hold on to. And then we will sew back up through all 4 of these seed beads. Hold on to your beads in your tail and just pull your thread back through. Once you have a little loop like this, then we will go back up through the first seed bead that we added. Just that seed bead. And pull our thread through again. And then hold on to the working thread and the tail and pull. And this is what you'll have. It's a little unit here. Now we're going to sew all the way back around this unit just to secure it and make sure that it doesn't pull out since we are not tying a knot. And you don't want to tie a knot in this because it gets in the way as you're sewing through your beads and later steps. So we'll just sew through each bead. Once you get to where your tail is, just hop up 1 more bead so that you're away from your tail. You don't necessarily have to be on the opposite side of the tail, but just 1 bead away from it. So we'll just go up 1 more here. Like this. And then we will pick up, we're going to do 4 units of right angle weave. So we'll pick up 3 more little 8/0s onto our needle. Each unit of right angle weave consists of 4 beads. We're going to be sharing this bead, so all we need are 3. We're coming out of this bead. We will go into the opposite side that we're coming out of and pull our beads down to our work. Then, now that we have 2 units, we're coming out of this bottom bead here, we need to get up to the top to make our next unit. So we will just sew up through the side bead and the top bead. Ensure that you have good tension on this so that your units are nice and neat. And then we will do another unit. We're going to do 4 initial units of right angle weave. So pick up 3 more beads. You're coming out of this side of the bead. We're going to go into the opposite side of the top bead on our unit here and pull our thread through again. Excuse me. Now we're coming out of this bead here. We need to get to the top bead. So we'll just sew through the side bead. I dropped it and made it all messy. And then through the top bead here. Now if you want to, you can sew through the entire unit and then back up to the top to make your units a little bit more secure. But we're going to be sewing through these several times, so I'm trying not to sew through them more than I need to at this point. However, if you want to make them nice and neat and tight and secure, that's not a problem. Now let's add 1 more unit of right angle weave. And then sew back up. And this is our 4th unit, so we're going to sew completely around this unit, because as we put this onto our purl, we don't want our unit to pull out. So I'm just going to sew, instead of just traveling up to the top, I'm going to sew all the way around the entire unit. And then work my way back up to the top bead. And this is what you should have. 4 little units of right angle weave. Now we're going to take our 12mm round bead and we're going to go through it and bring it down to our right angle weave. Just like this. I'm going to try to hold this. It's kind of wobbly and it's kind of hard to hold to where you can see it well, but I'm going to try. I'm going to wrap it around. My little right angle weave is on top like this. I'm going to wrap it around and move my tail out of the way. And I'm coming out of the purl. I'm going to come into the top of the right angle weave that we just made. And then I'm going to go back down into the purl. Give it a little tug. Now you can see on this side, we only have 1 thread coming out on this side. So we're going to go into the opposite side so that we can balance this and attach it to our purl nice and evenly. Give it a nice little tug. Go through again the purl. Move the tail out of the way. And we're going to go through this bead again. And do this a couple of times just to make sure that it's on here nice and firmly. And go through this bead. And back through the purl. And now that I have this anchored on here, I'm going to make sure you tug it nice, make sure it's got a lot of tension, make sure it's on there tightly. Now I'm going to go back up through this unit here, through the bead that we've been anchoring with, and then I'm going to sew around the entire unit, just to ensure that this unit is very secure, and then I'll cut my tail off because it'll just continue to get in my way. just sew around the entire unit. Once you make it back to the top bead here, give it a little tug and then cut off your tail. Just like that. Now we are going to make our other half of our right angle weave, and we're going to attach it to this right angle weave here that we're coming out of. So you will notice that your weave isn't completely over the top of the hole. That's fine. We're going to cover the hole with our next units. This one we made 4 units. Now we're going to make 5. We're going to start with the first unit attaching to the unit that we're coming out of. So we will pick up 3 8/0 seed beads and then come into the opposite side where our thread is exiting the unit that is attached to the purl. Now, again with this unit being attached here, we need to sew all the way around it so that it doesn't pull apart when we attach the other end to the purl. So I'm just holding it upside down so I can see it better. I'm just going to sew around the entire unit. And get here, pull it tight, and then travel up 2 beads so that you are coming out of your front bead here, and so you continue your right angle weave. So there we have our first unit for the other side. Now we're going to count that as 1, and we're going to make 4 more. We will have 5 units on this side. So pick up 3. I'm coming out of this side, I'm going to go into this side. And then sew up to the top here. Continue doing this until you have 5. Okay, so I have my 5 units now. I'm coming out of the top here because I just put my unit on. I'm going to sew completely around this unit. It's very important that you sew around the end units before you attach them, or they'll just pull apart. So we'll sew all the way around and secure them, and secure these beads. And now I'm coming out of my top bead again so that I can attach it. I'm just going to roll the bead, the purl, over and hold my unit like this. Now you can see that there's a space here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an 8/0 seed bead. We're going to use this seed bead and this seed bead for 2 beads in our unit. So when we're going to attach from here to here, we only need 1 bead. So we're going to pick up 1 8/0 seed bead, and we're going to go into the unit attached to the purl, or the bead actually, and pull. Then we're going to go from this bead to this bead, pick up an 8/0, and pull. And try to arrange it in the middle here. There's a little bit of a gap there, and that's okay. We want this to be tight. So you're just going to, as we sew through this, and we're going to sew through it a couple of times, we'll just pull it tight and pull it together and secure it on here. If there's a little bit of space and you feel like it's not meeting all the way, that's okay. As you sew together, it will. Just pull on it and pull it together. And just sew around the entire unit, attaching it to the unit that was already attached onto your purl. Okay, so I've sewn through this one. I'm going to go back through this one, and it does get a little thread tight. That's okay. If you need to pull your needle through with your straight nose or your chain nose pliers, that's fine too. At this point it shouldn't be quite that tight yet. Now I'm going to go into the unit that I attached to. So here's the unit I just added, and here's the unit that I'm attaching to. I'm going to go around it once. And back through the middle bead. Now, let's get close so you can see exactly what I'm going to tell you. You can see that my thread is coming out of this bead here. Now, my hole is right underneath this bead. It's right here somewhere. I'm going to feel around with my needle until I find it. It's right here. So, I'm going to go over this little thread bridge. You can see there's a little thread bridge between these two beads here. I'm coming out here. I'm just going to go over that little thread bridge. I'm going to go directly into the hole through my weave, and this is going to anchor it on here for me. And then we're going to do this one more time. We're going to go, we're right here, we're coming out of the hole. We're going to go over this little thread bridge between the two beads, find the hole, let's see, actually let's sew through a bead first. Okay, now I'm coming out at this side, and that way I'll cross over a thread bridge when I'm doing this. There we go. It just gives a little bit of extra anchorage like that. So now I'm coming out of the middle here. I'm going to go through this little side bead here. And I'm going to start adding a weave to this weave. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, a 3mm round, and an 8/0 seed bead. Let's back off just a little so I stay in frame for you. I'm coming out of this side of the 8/0 here. I'm going to go into the opposite side of the same 8/0, and I'm going to pull my 8/0, my purl, and my 8/0 down to my work. Just like this. Now I'm going to pick up, you can see I'm coming out of this little bead right here. Let's bump it up just a little bit. You can see I'm coming out of this bead here. I want to go into this bead next to start my next unit of right angle weave. However, there is a space here, and we also need to cinch in our little right angle weave that's around our bead. So we're going to build on the right angle weave, and we're going to cinch it in all at the same time by picking up an 11/0 seed bead. We're coming out of this bead, we're going to go directly into the next bead with the 11/0 seed bead. And just pull it through, just like that. Now, we're going to continue with our weave, making a right angle weave this way. We are going to share this bead and this bead. So we only need to pick up an 8/0 and a purl. Pick up your 8/0 first, and then pick up your purl. Come through this 8/0, avoid the 11/0 that you just added, and go through the 8/0 on the unit here. And pull. Just like that. Now, again, we're coming out of this little bottom bead here in our units attached to our purl. So we'll pick up an 11/0, and we'll slide into the next 8/0 in our weave. Pull tight, kind of brings the beads together, and then pick up an 8/0 and a purl, and we will go into this 8/0 and this 8/0 to make our unit of right angle weave. Just like that. Now, this little weave may move around until we get a little further. Just push it around and kind of keep it centered. Now again, we're coming out of this bead in our weave on our pearl. We're going to go into the next bead, and we're going to put in an 11-0 seed bead between the two beads that we're sewing through. Now we are going to add our weave in this direction again. Pick up an 8-0 and a pearl. Come through this 8-0 and this 8-0 on your weave. Avoid the 11-0 that you just added. Just like that. I'm going to back off again. There we go. Now, one more time, we're going to go from this bead here to this bead here and place an 11-0 seed bead between them. And now we will pick up an 8-0 and a pearl, and we will go into this bead and this bead to complete our unit, and pull. Now we'll do this all the way around until we get to the last unit, and I'll show you how to join it. So go ahead and work on. So I've made all my units all the way around until I have two little spaces here. I have one 8-0 seed bead left. I have a space here and a space here on either side. At this point, we're going to join these three beads together to become our last unit. However, we need to place our 11-0s first. So we're coming from this bead. We're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and we're going to slide into the 8-0 in the middle here. And pop it in there. And then pick up another 11-0 seed bead and come just through this 8-0 on the next side here, right here. And pull your needle through. Now we need to get back over to these beads, and we're in the middle of the next unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew up through this 8-0, we're going to sew through this pearl, and we're going to sew through this 8-0 here, so that we can get back to where we need to be to join our next pearl. So we're going to just sew up through this 8-0 right here. We're going to sew into this pearl, sew into this 8-0. Now we're going to join this 8-0, this 8-0, this 8-0, and then we're going to add a pearl, and we're going to pull this together. So we're going to go ahead and go through this 8-0, the 8-0 in the middle, avoid the 11-0s on either side, and if you can grab the third 8-0, just like this. Or you can do them all one at a time. You don't have to grab them all at once. That's fine too. And then just pull it together, and it looks like now that you have half of a unit here, which you do. You have your 3 8-0s. All you need is your pearl. So you're going to pick up your pearl. You're going to go through this 8-0 and this 8-0. If you can pick up the third one, that's fine too. Go through all 3 of them and pull. Just like that. And just kind of flatten it out a little bit and give yourself a little bit of slack in your thread there. Now we're all joined here, but it's loose and this will pull up. So we're going to go ahead and go into the next unit right next to it. We're going to go through the pearl, the 8-0 right here, the 8-0 underneath the pearl, avoid the 11-0s on either side, which can be rather difficult. Okay, and go through there. It's easier if you can pick it up and angle it towards you, but if I do that, you won't be able to see. So it's really not that difficult, I promise. Then go up through the next 8-0. Basically, we're just going around this unit, anchoring the unit that we ended with to it so that it's nice and firm. Then we're just going to spread or work out a little bit so that it's not all curled up. Now, we're coming out of this 8-0 here. We're going to go ahead and sew through this pearl, we're going to sew back down through this 8-0 here and turn our work over at the same time. And you can see that there is an 8-0 right here going sideways. We're going to go ahead and go through it. So basically there's a unit here. We're coming out of this one. We're just going to go into this bead here, which is in the same thread path of our original right angle weave unit right there. Then we're going to come down into this bead right here, the bead that's pointing down. We're just working our way over to the other side of our work here. Now we're going to come through the sideways facing bead like this. It's like that. Now we're ready to do the same thing that we did on this side to this side. So we'll pick up an 8-0 seed bead, a pearl, and an 8-0 seed bead, and we'll slide through the bead that we're exiting on the opposite side. It's like that. And then we'll pick up an 11-0 seed bead. We're coming out of this bead, we'll go into this bead. Then we will pick up an 8-0 and a pearl. And we will attach from here to here. So we will pick up this 8-0 and go through this 8-0 that we're exiting. Avoid the 11-0 that we added. And we will do our units all the way around until we get to where we have 2 little spaces and 1 8-0 left. And then we will be back. So I have put my units all the way around until all I have left to do is I have 1 little 8-0 here, an 8-0 on either side, and 2 little spaces in between. So this is what we're going to join together, these 3 8-0s, but we need to fill in our 11-0s just like we did on the other side. So we're coming from this 8-0 on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and slide into the, pick up an 11-0 and slide into the next 8-0 and insert it in there. Pick up another 11-0, slide from this bead to this 8-0 and avoid the 11-0 on the other side of the 8-0. And now we're in the middle of this unit and we need to get over to this side of this unit to join these beads together. So we're just going to, we're coming out of this 8-0 on the bottom, we're going to go into the 8-0 up on the side here. Avoid the 11-0. Come through the pearl. Come through the 8-0 right here. Then you want to pick up the 8-0 in the middle of the 2 11-0s you just added. And if possible, you can pick up the 8-0 on the unit on the other side here, just like this. All 3 of them. If not, sew into each one individually. And then pull them together. Grab a pearl. Go from this 8-0 to this 8-0 and the 8-0 underneath, here in the middle here on your pearl. And then into the 8-0 on the side here and pull. Straighten things out a little bit before we secure this. Make sure that things are going to lay nicely. And then sew through this entire unit again. Into the 8-0 down here. And then the 8-0 down in the middle. This is where your needle gets all bent up, trying to get through these beads. I come through the back of my weave here. And then up through the next 8-0. All I've done is just gone around the unit. Any way possible. If you have to turn your work over, whatever you have to do, just go through the unit that you just added to secure it. Come up through the pearl again. straighten everything out at this point. Make sure that things aren't all curled up and funny and weird. It should look like this on this side and like that on that side. And you're coming out of a pearl here. I'm going to back off a little because I keep getting out of frame. So now we are going to work from this bead to this bead, and we're going to make a little unit on top here. We're going to start filling in our little, we've got a wheel shape. We're going to fill in this part here. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with our Bicone crystals. So we're going to pick up a Bicone crystal. We're coming out of this pearl right here. We're going to go into this pearl directly across, just like this, and pull our little crystal into place. Now we're going to pick up another crystal because each unit is going to be another right angle weave unit. Of course, right angle weave units all have 4 beads, so we're going to add another. We'll use the pearls as 2 and the Bicone crystals as 2 in our unit, just like this. And then we will sew, we're coming out of this pearl here, we will sew into the Bicone. We're going to create another unit. We're going to use this bead, and this bead, and we'll add a bead for here. So we're going to pick up, or we're going to actually go through the pearl. First, we're coming out of this bead. We're going to go into this pearl. We're going to pick up a Bicone, and then we're going to go into this pearl over here. And then we have to join to this Bicone, and then to get over so we can add another unit, we need to sew over to this bead. So we're going to go through this pearl. Use pretty good tension here. Make sure you're pulling everything pretty nice and neat. Not extremely tight, but tight. Then we're going to grab a hold of this bead because we're going to use this one, and this one for our unit. So we're going to go from this bead to this bead. Then we're going to pick up a Bicone, and we're going to come across into this bead here, perhaps. There we go. Now we need to connect to this bead. And now we need to sew back over to this bead so that we can add another unit. And you're just going to continue doing this until you get all the way around, and you have one bead, one section open. I'll show you what I mean. So just continue doing this, and then when we get to the point to where we're almost done, I'll be back and I'll show you how to join them all together. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. I have just one opening left here. I am coming out of my Bicone crystal that I just added, and now I'm going to join these 4 beads together. We won't add any more crystals at this point when you have one gap with a pearl on either side and a gap, and then 2 bicones on either side. This is where you will stop adding bicones, and we will join them together. So we are coming out of this Bicone right here. We're going to go into the pearl here and pull. Then we'll go into the Bicone on the other side and pull a little bit. Come into the pearl on the other side, pull, and then come back into the Bicone you started in on the opposite side and pull. Now we have to sew through this a couple of times to pull these together. So we're going to go ahead and just go through all 4 beads, probably twice. And as we do it, we're going to pull each time so that we can draw these beads together. And then I'm just going to go one more time. And pull pretty tightly to bring them together. Now when you're on your third pass around, they start to come together pretty well. Now, you can see that they're pretty well drawn together. I'm going to go ahead and go through this little pearl here. And now that I'm coming out of this pearl, right here, I'm going to start to add, you can see our thread all the way around. You can also see the hole on the bicone. We want to cover that up, so we're going to start picking up 15 seed beads. Now I'm just going to add 2 because I'm going to sew back through again, and I want to be able to get through my pearls. Now sometimes there's room for 3. If you want to add 3, you can, but it's a little bit more difficult to get back through again once you do that. So I'm just going to add 2 15 O's between the pearls. We're going to go from one pearl to the next pearl, adding 2 15 seed beads all the way around. Get real close for a minute. And that helps cover the thread bridge that you can see, and it also draws everything together, and it covers the whole of the bicone. Just go ahead and continue doing this all the way around. When we get around, we'll sew through the top and go to the other side. Okay, so I have gone all the way around except for my last 2 15 O's. So I'm going to go from this bead to this bead and through the 2 15 O's that I first added and pull my needle through. Just like that. Now I'm going to go up through this pearl here and try to avoid my 15 O's here. Then I'm going to go through this bicone crystal on top, right here. And then into a pearl on the opposite side here. Just like that. Now I have worked my way over to the other side of my work. And we will start by picking up 2 15 O's and go from pearl to pearl again. On this side, we are going to kind of want to dome this in, so we can pull it a little tighter if we want. Don't worry about that too much. And just continue sewing all the way around, adding your 15 O's between the pearls, and we'll be back. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. I'm just about to add my last 15 O's. Now, I told you to straighten out the piece right before this, but actually I'd rather have one side, the first side you did, domed out a little bit, and this side in a little. So as you're putting in your 15 O's, you kind of push your pearl forward a little bit and cinch it up. I forgot for the ring, we need this to be domed just slightly. So after you get done with your 15 O's, pull very tightly and then just push your pearl forward so that it domes up on one side just a little bit. It won't be drastic, but it will be domed up some on the other side. So after you have domed it a little bit and finished your 15 seed beads, you're going to be coming out of your little 15 O's on the side here. We're going to go ahead and go through a pearl. And now we're coming out of this pearl. We're going to go up through this bicone crystal here. And then through another pearl, just to make sure everything's anchored. And then we're going to do our last embellishment. There's a little barb on my needle. I need to change. Okay, I changed my needle. There's a little rough spot on it that kept grabbing my thread. This one's better. So now I'm coming out of a pearl on the top here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, a pearl, and an 11/0 seed bead, just like this. And then I'm going to go from this pearl, I'm coming out of this side, I'm going to go into the opposite pearl in the opposite side of the pearl, and it's very important that you go into the opposite side. And this will lay a little embellishment diagonally across your pearls here. Then you're going to sew, you're coming out of the pearl here, you're going to sew up into the next bicone crystal, and then into the next pearl. Now you're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, a pearl, and an 11/0 seed bead, just like this. And you're coming out of this pearl, you're going to go into the opposite pearl in the opposite side of the pearl. You're exiting this side, you'll go into this side. And pull, just like that. Now we will go into the bicone crystal, and then into the pearl next to the bicone crystal, and again pick up an 11/0 seed bead, a pearl, and an 11/0 seed bead. Go into the opposite side that you're exiting in the opposite pearl, and pull. And we will do this all the way around the component. Alright, so I've gone all the way around, putting on my last pearl embellishment. I am now coming out of this pearl here after adding this embellishment. So what I'm going to do, make sure everything's nice and tight. There's a little thread bridge right here. Let's get very, very close so you can see the thread bridge. Right here between the 15/0s and the pearl. I am going to just tie a little half hitch knot here because I need to turn myself around so I can get back into this embellishment I just made. So now that I have this little tiny knot on this thread here, I'm going to go back into this pearl and try to avoid, you have to go at an angle, try to avoid all of your little 11/0s and 15/0s and everything that's in the way there, and just come through like that, and then come back up through the embellishment that you just added. Go through the 11/0, the pearl. Okay, so now that we're coming out of the bead here, just the pearl, ignore the little 11/0 on the bottom, and then pick up an 11/0, a pearl, and an 11/0, and then go from this pearl here into the bottom hole of this pearl here. I can find the hole, there we go, and pull. Pull it up tight against your work here. And then we've got a little pearl on the bottom now. We're going to pick up an 11/0, a bicone crystal, and an 11/0. And we're going to go from this pearl to this pearl in the top holes here. And you can go into the 11/0 and the pearl on the bottom too, that's fine. We're just placing an bicone crystal over the top of the pearls here, and then we need to sew around this entire unit. So I'm coming out of the pearl here, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the 11/0, and I'm going to sew back around here again. I'll go through the 11/0s and the crystal on the top here, and then through the pearl. Then I'll go through this little 11/0 that I just added, and then just the pearl, and come out, not the 11/0 on the other side. And pull this all tight. Make sure it looks fairly neat here. It sets at a little bit of an angle because of the fact that our pearls that we're anchored to are at an angle. But as we do this, we'll straighten it out. So now we're going to start adding our band, and we're going to do that by doing right angle weave through this pearl here. So this will be counted as our 4th pearl, and we'll pick up 3 onto our needle like this, and we will go into the opposite side that our thread is exiting and avoid the 11-0 on the other side and pull through. Now we're going to sew through this unit again because it's a connecting unit. We want to make sure it's nice and secure. So we'll go ahead and sew through all of these beads. That we just added. And the anchoring pearl. And then back up to the top so that we can continue doing right angle weave. And that straightens it out a little bit, and when we border in our right angle weave, that'll straighten it out even more. So that's our first unit of our band, and we will just continue making units until the band is as long as we need for our finger or for our, if we're doing a specific size and we want to use a mandrel, then you'll just place it on top and measure your units around it. Let's make our next unit here. So we're coming out of this pearl. We'll go into the opposite side. And pull tight, just like that. And we need to get to the top pearl, so I'm just going to turn my work over so it's easier to get to. And sew until I get to the top pearl. Pull my thread through. And I'm just going to continue making these right angle weave units all the way until I have enough length to go around my finger, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have made my units. For me, it's 9. For a lot of you, it'd be a lot less than that. Like I said, I have ginormous fingers. So, I've made my units, then I sewed around this last unit twice to make sure that it's very secure. Actually, on most all of these, well, all of them. That's my dog making weird noises. Sorry about that. You okay, buddy? You okay? Anyway, so all the way, you should secure these, sew through each unit twice. And then make sure, for sure, if you don't secure these, to secure the last one, sew around it twice. And then we're going to join it over to the other side here. So just lay it down and bring your ring around, bring your component to the top. Now you want to make sure that you're joining it to the same 2 components that you did on the other side. And the way you're going to do that is you will not count the component that this side is attached to, and you'll count 3. Don't count that one. 1, 2, 3, and then go into the 4th one on this side over here. So what we're going to do, actually we're going to go into the 5th one because our thread is coming out of this side, so we want to go into the 5th bead over here, because if we went into that one it would twist our little strap. So now we're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and we're going to come up through just the pearl, the 5th pearl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. So we're going to come through this one, and then pull this up, and then we're going to pick up a 11-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, and an 11-0 seed bead. We're going to go from this pearl here to the pearl here, the next one over, and we're going to go through the top hole, the hole facing us, just like this, and pull. Then we're going to flip it to the side here, and you can see that we're not attached on this side, so we will pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and we will go through the band pearl right here and pull. Pull it all tight, and then we're going to sew through this entire thing a couple of times to make sure it's attached well. So we'll go into the 11-0 we added, and the pearl right above it, then we'll sew through the top beads here, the 11-0,
the crystal and the 11-0. And then down through the pearl and the 11-0, and just through our pearl here. Don't worry about the 11-0 on the other side. Actually, I'm going to go up through one more time because we do need to include the 11-0 in the next step, and my thread is going the wrong direction. So we're going to go ahead and sew up through one more time. And when we come through on this side, a little closer so you can see what I'm doing, we're going to come through this pearl and we're going to come through the little 11-0 here. Then we're going to slide down through the pearl right underneath the 11-0, right here. And we're going to pull it tight, like that. Now we're going to start adding 8/0 seed beads in between each of the seed beads on the outside, or each of the pearls on the outside of our right angle weave, just to secure our band and finish it up a little bit. So I'm just going to switch around so that I can hold on to it. And I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to go into the next bead after I pick up an 8/0 and slide in between, just like that. We're going to do this all the way across the band. When you get to the last one, you're going to slide up through the pearl and the 11/0 right here and pull your 8/0 through. Then you're going to sew up through the unit again. You're going to go up through this pearl into the 11/0 and the crystal, down into the pearl and the 11/0 on the other side, like this, and pull. And then we're going to start adding our 8/0s on this side. After you have added your last 8/0 and you're coming out of the pearl here on the end, after you finished your entire embellishment here, then you will come up through the 8/0 seed bead, or the 11/0 seed bead, right underneath there. And then we will sew up and back around again, the entire unit, including the crystal and all the 11/0s. And come back down the other side and just exit the 11/0 here, and then come back into the middle pearl here. Now you can either be done with your embellishment here and you can tie off, or you can add 15/0 seed beads across all of the little pearls like I did on this one. And the way I did that was I just picked up 3 15/0 seed beads, and then I just went from this pearl here into the 8/0, and then pick up 3 more and slide from 8/0 to 8/0 with your 15/0 seed beads all the way around your entire band here. When you get to the other side, just sew through and do the same thing on that side. And then you can sew up through your units, you can sew up into the ring and tie off, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished sewing all of my little 15 seed beads all the way around. Now, when you get to the end of one of your rows, then you just go through the little purl right here, and then bring your seed beads over to the next side and go from 8-0 to 8-0. And then as you finish that up, you will just sew around your unit here, sew into some of your top beads, bind a thread bridge or two, and tie a couple half-hitch knots and cut your thread off. And then you will be finished. And this is what it looks like. Let's back off a little bit. It's kind of pretty. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will have some kits available on my Facebook store. The problem with the Facebook store, I will post a link. The problem with that is that you cannot access it from mobile apps. You have to access it from your laptop or your desktop. Facebook doesn't allow apps that are not theirs to be attached to their mobile apps. So if you click on the link and it doesn't work from your iPad or your phone or your tablet, that's why. But if you use a computer, you will be able to get to the store. And I will have a few different kits. I have several kits on there now of different things also. Now, it's rather limited at this point, but I'm going to be putting more and more on. But it's just me by myself, so it takes a little bit of work. However, there are things there, and it doesn't seem that anyone's too interested in my store so far. I haven't had any interest in it. So if you just go, look around, click around, and let me know what you think about the prices. Write me a note on Facebook page so I can figure out exactly how to make everyone happy. And it'd be easier for all of us in the long run because I do use a lot of beads that nobody can find and colors that people want and stuff. So a while back, the decision was made to go ahead and make a little store. So there are some kits in the store. Like I said, it's rather limited at this point, but I will have more, and I will have kits for this ring there. So have a good day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.